I want to thank you for your ongoing support to these programs and indeed invite you to redouble your efforts and work with us to rebuild the growth momentum towards the social economic transformation of our country as we work together for that reinvigoration of the global economy. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like now to move to our Constitution. It is 10 years since Kenya adopted a new Constitution. And over this period, we have undertaken far-reaching reforms in the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative arms of government. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, I would go as far as to say that no country has introduced as far-reaching constitutional reforms and programs as has Kenya in such a short period of time. We have expanded the freedoms of all Kenyans, devolved systems of governance, and we have reformed the public service as well as our security sector. However, we have noted and listened to the voices of Kenyans who are still yearning for a deeper sense of national unity, inclusivity, peace and reconciliation, as well as prosperity. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why in March of 2018, I invited the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, to launch the Building Bridges Initiative that we now call BBI, and a task force was put in place. This task force has completed its work. It has submitted its report, a report that has elicited a great deal of public debate. The report extensively evaluates our national challenges and makes robust and comprehensive practical recommendations to address these challenges. The public debate that is ongoing, and which I am sure many of you are following, is indeed a healthy one, and we encourage it. This is because the BBI is about perennial issues that we need to address as a nation, particularly political transitions, negative ethnicity, inclusion, equitable development, as well as our fight against corruption. We are convinced that these debates epitomize our democratic culture and our commitment to popular participation as well as ownership. I want to, however, clarify that the BBI does not promise to settle all the constitutional questions through a singular amendment. It is a starting point to a continuous process of constitution making for our young nation aimed at achieving three planks, namely, to manage diversity and to institutionalize inclusivity in Kenya. Secondly, to strengthen devolution by increasing funds allocated to our counties by the national government. And lastly, to ensure that every Kenyan has a just and fair avenue for participation in the action of government through increased representation. Further, we all understand that the COVID-19 pandemic has adversely affected the implementation of our Big Four agenda, with a necessitating reduction in revenues occasioned to ease the burden on the majority, especially lower-income Kenyans. Significant financial resources have had to be reallocated also to address the effects of the pandemic amidst a slowdown in economic activity. The economic and social disruptions induced by COVID-19 have eroded some of the progress that we had made in recent years, and our private sector especially faces lower demand due to reduced consumption, as well as demands for inputs. And these challenges have been compounded further by growing uncertainty, disrupted supply chains, and limited fiscal space. This is not a phenomena particular to Kenya, as it is indeed a phenomena that globally challenges each and every one of us. This aspiration is captured in our Big Four agenda, which is a framework to organize and prioritize the delivery of government services towards the realization of our Vision 2030. The four components of this agenda, of which I am sure you are all aware, are: first, to increase our manufacturing share to GDP to 15% in order to offer decent employment to Kenyans, and also to gear towards reducing our trade deficit. We have, again, as many of you know, consistently improved the business environment, and we are now close to achieving the set target of 50 in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business ranking, having been ranked at 56 in 2020. This is an unprecedented turnaround, given that Kenya was at position 136 in 2016. We are also on course to establish special economic zones and industrial parks across our country. The second, which is dearest to my heart, is the realization of universal access to healthcare. We have seen and we seek to improve equitable access to affordable health services and address the high disease burden. Our investment in health financing, improved service delivery, increased personnel, the digitization of our health records, and better access to quality medical equipment are slowly bearing fruit. And we are now, currently in this year, rolling out the Universal Healthcare Program across the country. These measures have strengthened our health system, improved our health to our citizens, and also enabled us to mitigate the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are not without problems, but we are facing our challenges head-on, and towards that end, I want to thank each and every one of you who have participated with us in this endeavor, and I hope that we shall continue to work together. In particular, I want to note the assistance from Japan, which has been critical in helping us roll out the universal healthcare agenda. The third is to achieve affordable housing. And despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we have broken ground on several projects in 2020. The housing program, supported by a sound policy, has created a conducive business environment for the building and construction sector. It has provided subsidized land, tax breaks, flexible payment options, and a framework for public-private partnerships, even in the provision of government, military, and police housing. The program maintains an active pipeline of projects championed by both government and private sector. Here again, I want to thank those governments that have lent support to this agenda, and indeed it is my belief that we shall have in the near future the greatest rollout of housing and decent housing for our people that has been seen in many years. To address food insecurity, we have had an ambitious program and targeted 3.3 million households which are most at risk. We have currently achieved a 50% reduction in the number of food insecure Kenyans, a 34% increase in the average daily income of farmers, and a 47% reduction in the cost of food as a percentage of incomes. And this success has been achieved through various targeted interventions, many of which we are implementing in partnership with many of you. Let me, however, hasten to add that this transformation that we seek towards a prosperous and equitable society is still very much a work in progress. Today we are meeting as partners in a common cause to forge a shared vision as we advance progress in Kenya as well as globally. And indeed, to quote John F. Kennedy, And I quote, "History has made us friends, economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies," end of quote. And as friends and partners, as well as allies, we are more successful, I believe, when we understand each other's visions, as well as our aspirations, and we work together to fulfill it. The purpose of this briefing, as the Minister has just foresaid, is to appraise you on key issues and developments in Kenya and the region, as well as to expound Kenya's position on global issues of mutual interest, forging this shared understanding in a particularly crucial time when our world faces major realignments as well as disruptions. This is our first such meeting and first such address, and it is indeed my hope that from here henceforth it shall be an annual event. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there is no question that Kenya is an open and democratic society, and our strong democratic credentials extend beyond our domestic context to the global sphere. They inform our foreign policy and underpin our commitment to maintain regular engagements with you, the diplomatic corps, and these interactions typify our commitment to foster greater understanding, deepen our partnerships, and leverage opportunities for our common good. Securing our interdependent future depends on us growing our respective economies, further deepening the democratization of our governance, ensuring the equitable distribution of resources, as well as managing our diversity at home, as well as also maintaining our global ecological balance. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our agenda here in Kenya. This transformative agenda is anchored in the aspirations of our Kenya Vision 2030, which serves as a vehicle for accelerating transformation of our country into a rapidly industrializing, prosperous middle-income nation by the year 2030. So, ladies and gentlemen, 7 years into my term as President, I have focused on an agenda to build a united country with a fast-growing economy, where wealth is created, where prosperity is shared fairly amongst all our citizens. And this entails creating more and decent jobs, raising living standards of every Kenyan, ending inequality, and lifting more Kenyans out of poverty.